guys. This is Hash Greenberg with the Midday Report.
And that was Hash Greenberg with the...
Hi, my name is Brodelli, and this is my public access television show. This is The Cinema with Brodelli. And the reason I call it that is because I've always heard the phrase, my life's a movie, and I think that's a little self-centered, because life is just one big movie and we're all playing a small part. I'm not really sure what to say about the show. It's going to be things I see and places I travel and things I find interesting, and I hope you stay along for the ride. Anyways, let's go ahead and start the show. 'Cause this is the cinema with Brodelli.
Hello and thank you for watching This is the Cinema with Brodelli. We've taken a little hiatus. Things have gotten tough in the past few years with COVID and financial strains. But that being said, these are all just little things that are part of the cinema. Today we visit a little island in Alabama where they filmed Big Fish. Never watched the movie. I'm not even sure if that's the name, but it's inhabited by many, many goats. So we're going to take a little trip and see what's left of the set, and maybe we'll take a little time to play with some goats and smoke some weed. So buckle in, tighten your seatbelt, strap in, put on your helmet, get in the car, because we're on our way. This is the cinema with Brodelli. So one of the first things you'll notice as you pull up is the trees in the water. It's almost magical. They just are in the water. Who knew that trees could grow that way? Contrary to popular belief, trees don't need water to grow. That's a liberal conspiracy. One of my favorite things to do in abandoned places is to stop and look at our surroundings to make sure that nobody's watching. Because technically we had to pay to get in here, but we did not. I don't pay for anything. Hell, I'm not even paying for the software I use to record this, nor the software I'm using to record the audio. Now, the island isn't just famous for its being the place where a film was made. It's actually an old mining island. They used to mine bananas here back in the 1800s. Bananas, code for gold, because they didn't want anybody to know what they were up to here, so that other miners couldn't come and take the gold for themselves. I've never been a fan of gold. I'm more of a silver person, so I guess they wouldn't have to worry about me. There's no paved roads on the island. They're pretty much at the will of the roads that have been made from people driving to come see the goats and the abandoned buildings left over from the set of the movie, and maybe find a little gold in the mines. Or silver, if you're like me, in my mind. This part right here was rather interesting because Niall decided to speed up and start driving like they used to do when they had an ATV. They grew up in a household that was more outdoors than mine. We never had any multi-terrain vehicles or boats. But we did have black magic. We used to cast spells and send people to the Shadow Realm and play Yu-Gi-Oh! things that no good Christian boy would ever engage in. I've always been a liar. So now you can see the set from Big Fish. It was a movie about lying, which is the theme of today's episode. Lies. Like trees. They're everywhere. Alabama was a really interesting place. The people were a lot nicer than I had expected from what I read online. It was very beautiful. Picturesque. To say the least. There's a lot of swings, I guess you could call them. I had a little hesitation there because I wasn't quite sure what to call them, but there's plenty of them on this island if you like swimming, or swinging, or swimming and swinging. I wouldn't recommend going into any of the buildings as they were built for a movie, so they weren't particularly manufactured in the best way. Usually built really quickly to accommodate for the film production. They don't have much time, when they make movies, so they try and take advantage of the time that they can, because filming at night is rather hard. You don't have the natural lighting, and people get tired. Now you're probably wondering, Shu, where are the goats? That's a good question. A hurricane happened a little while ago and took out quite a bit of the population, but that being said, soon, my friend, we'll be with the goats. Oh, excuse me. As you can see, the production value on this show has dropped dramatically, as I don't have any real recording or editing software anymore. But that's okay, because part of This Is the Cinema is just going with the flow. This tree right here is where they had a wedding in the movie. It's not a real tree, it's made from plaster. But the most interesting thing about the island, of course, is the many, many, many feral goats. I tried to give every single one of them a name. I figured it's the least I can do, since they're all here alone, other than other goats. I named that one Black Bob and Black Phillip. They were very friendly, kind of like dogs. When dealing with goats, you're going to want to bring food. They're very hungry. If you don't bring food or some type of offering, they'll get offended. Goats have a very highly particular sense of culture, and if you don't engage them in this particular way, they get offended. Have you ever met a goat before? Please comment below and let me know your experience with the goat. And also, don't forget to subscribe. Goats are rather boring, but sometimes exciting as well. That's the nature of the beast. Sometimes they just sit and do nothing, and other times they like to eat and eat and eat everything around them. Kind of like me. I'm a very hungry boy. Now one of the island's most main resources, other than the feral goats and the abandoned movie set, is goat manure. One of the most nutrient-dense forms of manure in the world. Better than cow manure, horse manure, or whatever that stuff that iguanas make or birds make in that one video we did in the Grand Canyon. I'm sure it tastes pretty good too, because goats eat a lot of stuff. So the variety of things that they eat probably make their manure taste pretty good. Here you can see me feeding one of the goats. He was a friendly boy, but his other friends weren't so friendly. When they saw me feeding him, they gathered around me, one by one, until I was completely surrounded by goats, and I had to throw the leaf and run away because they're vicious. Like I said, if you don't bring something for them to eat, they will get offended. When petting goats, you're going to want to touch them on their horns first, spin them around like a dreidel or a merry-go-round, or those things that people spin on at the park until they vomit. They love that. It's called spin the goat. It's a pastime in Pakistan, where pastime was actually originated. It's a Pakistani word that was appropriated by the English. Now this goat right here, he was actually in the Robert Eggers film, The Witch. You may recognize him as Black Phillip. In closing, if you're looking for the goat, and not the greatest of all time, but literally the goat, maybe visit the Feral Goat Island in Alabama and spend a little time in nature and get to know the goats. Because if you look at the goats long enough, they start to look back at you. This is the cinema. Goodbye.